So we had some elections last night, and they were decisive. On the Republican side, Donald Trump took a sledgehammer and swung it at Ted Cruz and John Kasich's face. He won Connecticut with 58% of the vote, an absolutely crushing victory. He won Delaware with 61% of the vote. He won Maryland with 55% of the vote. He won Pennsylvania with 55% of the vote, and he won Rhode Island with 64% of the vote. So he picked up about 100 delegates to Kasich's 5 delegates and Cruz's 1 delegate. And isn't this an interesting fact here? John Kasich still has fewer delegates than Marco Rubio. Oh, that is so pathetic. Now, not only is this race over, but now Trump has made it so that he's back on track, and the projections show that he may indeed hit the magic delegate number and avoid completely a contested convention. That would be gigantic. That would be gigantic. So Nate Silver of 538 was talking about this yesterday on his live blog during the election coverage, how he made up all the ground that he lost in some of the other states where he didn't hit his projections. Now, he's made up that ground, so he doesn't give specific numbers as to what the likelihood is moving forward that Trump will avoid a contested convention, but he certainly gave the implication that now the more likely scenario is that he avoids a contested convention. Some states are coming up that do not favor Trump, like, for example, Indiana. Indiana, because of the demographic makeup and the religiosity, much more favors somebody like Cruz, but when you look at everything in totality moving forward, it does appear like it's more likely now that he will hit the delegate number and will avoid a contested convention. This is unbelievable stuff. So, now it's time to have the conversation yet again. Why is it that he won so overwhelmingly? Now, we discussed this once before, but I want to come back and touch on some of the same themes here, because virtually every single pundit on TV got this thing dead wrong. I have to admit that at the very beginning, I got it wrong. I was with everybody else. There wasn't a single person in the country that didn't dismiss Donald Trump at the very beginning. I was among the people that said, yeah, oh please, you're done. But I changed my mind, and I started saying it's real very soon thereafter, because I'm not dense. So I looked at the evidence, I looked at what was going on, and I went, oh, I was originally wrong. This thing is real, and this thing is going to go on for a while. So one of the main things as to why he did well, this is the elephant in the room, and it is a big plus, especially in our current society, is his celebrity status. And in many ways, this is the same thing that helped Hillary Clinton, too, that she was running against, an old senator from Vermont who very few people knew, named Bernie Sanders. But Hillary Clinton already had that name recognition, already had that celebrity status. Same thing with Donald Trump. And that's, again, a big plus in our society, more so than I think anybody gave it credit for. And then also there's just the strongman personality. When you talk about Donald Trump, you immediately picture this overconfident, arrogant, cocky guy. And there's nothing that the far right likes more than an authoritarian personality. Because it makes them, in all seriousness, it makes them feel like emotional little kids, and daddy's coming along and saying everything's going to be okay. That's a harsh way to put it, and a harsh way to talk about that group of people in the country, but I think it's true. I think that they're waiting for a leader so they can shut off their minds, not that they use them well when they're actually using them, but they want to shut off their minds and say, okay, now we go into defense mode and we protect our leader at all costs. That's exactly what happened during the Bush years, too. How they would defend him when it was utterly apparent to everybody else that, hey, this guy sucks and he's really doing some shitty things for the country. So his strongman personality helped him. Then also, guys, you have to give him credit for one thing. He's a fucking brilliant marketer and self-promoter. And tied into that, he also does this thing where he repeats himself over and over and over. And we may look at that, rational people may look at that and go, that looks stupid, like why do you keep saying the same thing? But the reality is that just hammers home your message. And that's something that actually goes over well with the general public. You keep making the same point over and over and over, and then they get it, and then the things that you're talking about, whether they're true or not, in the minds of the people, it just becomes duh. It's like, oh, Lion Ted, duh. He's a liar. What do you mean? That's Ted Cruz, Lion Ted. He's a liar. crooked Hillary that he's now saying. People are going to start saying, duh, yeah, of course, crooked Hillary. What do you mean? She takes all this money from Wall Street, does their bidding, crooked Hillary, yeah. So people might scoff at that and look down upon that, but it's actually a very, good strategy in terms of changing minds and getting people on your side. And then also, and you can go back and look at the video, I said this at the time, when that analysis came out that showed that Donald Trump speaks at like a third grade level, I think it was, everybody's, that's so stupid, look at him speaking at a third grade level. And I said, no, that's a positive for him. Why? There are a lot of people that just aren't that bright in the country. So when they hear him talk, they think straight shooter, keeping it real, and, I understand him and I get him. He's leveling with me. He's not trying to use these flowery nonsense, rhetorically nice sentences that don't mean anything. He's telling it like it is what he's doing, and I get him. He's talking to me like he's in my living room. So those simple sentences, again, it fucking helps him. And then another huge part of his success, I think, you won't hear anybody, any of the mainstream pundits say this, but I think the contradictions that he did on a regular basis actually help his campaign. Because it's not like the Republican base, the people who are going to vote in a Republican primary, it's not like they give a shit about logic. It's not like they give a shit about reason and rationality. Again, it's more emotional for them. So when you come out one day and say, for example, I want nothing to do in Syria, I want to get out of there, let Vladimir Putin fight ISIS, all the people in the Republican Party who really are more isolationist, and there is a wing of the Republican Party that's like that, the old paleo-conservatives, they hear that and they go, awesome, that's my guy. But then the next day when he comes out and he says, we should be more involved, and we should not only kill ISIS, we should go after the families of ISIS and commit war crimes, then you get the hawks that go, awesome, I fucking love this guy. When he talks about the economy, on taxes, he's like, well, I want low taxes. So again, you have the fiscal conservatives who are like, great, I love this guy. But then in the next breath, he'll say, and also I'm done with these stupid outsourcing deals, these stupid free trade deals that ship all the jobs overseas, we're going to force them to stay here. Well, that's a genuinely liberal position. And so other people in the Republican base, the old school, like, union workers who, have voted Democratic for a long time, now they see a guy like Trump, an old white guy like they are, and he's saying things that are genuinely liberal sometimes on trade issues, and they go, oh, fuck yeah, that's my guy. So the contradictions help him, and he has a crossover appeal that people on the left are not giving him credit for. And I think that's a scary thing to witness, because what more would a guy have to do to prove to you that he's a fucking threat, man? I mean, everybody at the beginning, after Iowa, he's done. After New Hampshire, he's done. After the second debate, after the third debate, after the fourth debate, he's done. They just kept moving the fucking goalposts, and now he's got the nomination locked up, and they say, but in the general, he's got no shot, he's going to be done. Based on what? High unfavorables. Hillary has high unfavorables too, dipshit. So what are you talking about? He's exceeded expectations every step of the way, and then people still smugly say like, yeah, but eventually. It's become comical at this point. So his contradictions help him, and when he throws out every once in a while some genuinely liberal positions, it helps him. When he says, I'm never going to cut Social Security, and all the other idiots on the Republican debate stage say, I'm going to cut it, yeah, Republican-based voters agree with Trump. Look at the polls. The overwhelming majority of Americans go, yeah, I'd never want to cut that. I like that. So again, it was so easy for him. A mediocre con man had such an easy time winning the Republican primary because all the other candidates also suck balls. They're just terrible. Fucking Ted Cruz, that guy, that's the guy you're going to run against him. Rick Santorum 2.0. Who only speaks to people who believe in Christian Sharia, that jackass who also looks like a smarmy politician and has a face that everybody wants to punch, that's the guy that's going to be, in the end here against Trump? Don't be ridiculous. And then finally, the last thing that I think led to his dominance is xenophobia. People don't like to talk about it, or they don't talk about it often enough, but yeah, the fucking Republican base is massively xenophobic. That's not just me talking, that's the polling data talking. So, in some of the exit polls yesterday, I forget which state it was in, I think it was Pennsylvania, they asked, hey, do you agree with Trump's ban on Muslims? 70% of Republican primary voters said, Yes. So, they see ISIS on TV and they're like, oh, that's all Muslims. Can't have no damn Muslims here. They're not going to listen to reason. If you come in there and you say, well, hey, wait a second. Now, the people who are fleeing them, many of them are also Muslim. I don't care. Muslim enough. Muslim's bad. Okay, but then wait a second. What about Sufi Muslims? What about Ahmadi Muslims? What about Shia Muslims who are not engaged in jihad at the moment? These are people who were trying to escape. I don't care. I don't care. They all the same to me. 70% want to do a ban on Muslims entering America. So that xenophobia where he let it hang out, man, where he said, yeah, these immigration's the problem. These Mexicans that are coming in here, they're rapists, they're criminals. I assume some are good people. I like how he flipped it. Not, hey, some commit crimes like any other group. No, I assume some are good people, implying that, like, the majority are rapists and criminals. But people hear that in the Republican base. They're like, yes, because they scapegoat. That's what they do. They want to blame other people who are worse off than them for the problems in the country. Guys, it's not like there isn't enough blame to go around for the state of the country. More importantly, you should blame the donor class. You should blame the wealthy and the corporations. But they don't. They fall for the oldest trick in the book. Get people who are middle class and poor to hate other middle class and poor people. It's a classic theory that's just held true throughout history. And here we have Donald Trump taking advantage of that, and it fucking worked like a charm. So when he comes out there and he lets it all hang out and he's like, yeah, this is xenophobia. People in the Republican base go, oh, this is what I've been thinking forever. Now he's just saying it. Whereas some of the other Republican candidates, they'll dance around it, and they'll drop hints every now and then, like, I'm kind of with the xenophobic people and the bigoted people. But Trump's just like, no, fuck the fucking coded language. I'm just going to say it. And people go, yes! You mix that in with some genuinely liberal positions. You mix it in with the contradictions. You mix it in with the celebrity status and the strongman personality. Easy peasy for Trump. So he's almost certainly going to be the general election candidate, unless there's a contested convention and they try some historic sleazy nonsense. And brace yourselves, because it's certainly a possibility that we have a President Donald Trump.